It's been a little bit over a week since the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, and it's very safe to say at this point that, yes, this console is going to be a success. All the backlash is going to be ineffectual. The console is going to sell gangbusters. It's going to be this very well-received thing, and it is going to put PlayStation, Xbox, and PC into the ground.
Okay, lots to unpack here. Lots to unpack here. I'm doing it. I'm finally doing it. I love how immediately after the Switch 2 Direct, everyone was just like, so when are you talking about Harmon Smith? When are you going to talk? When are you talking about Harmon Smith? Did you know Harmon Smith exists? When are you going to talk about him? And I wanted to give him some space. I wanted to let him get all of his thoughts out. I didn't want to jump on him too quickly. You know, I didn't want to be a kangaroo in here. But the time has come. It's time to record a Harmon Smith video. So I look through the video list. I look through his titles. Which one should I talk about? Which one should I put on my plate to dissect and consume? And obviously I couldn't resist this title with this like to dislike ratio. We're doing phenomenal work here. This is just the Lord's will be done here because it's Easter season. Okay, yes. Tell us more about how the Switch 2 is going to put PC gaming and the other consoles too, but I mean, we're going to focus on the PC gaming aspect here because that's the title of the video. Explain to me how the Switch 2 is going to put PC gaming in the dirt. Go. 1, 2, 3, go.
I think people are really underestimating just how good of a position Nintendo is in right now.
Lamau, lol, even, lol, and Lamau. Nintendo's public reputation has taken a complete nosedive. And at the time that I'm recording this, they just announced that they're putting pre-orders back up and that they're going forward with all this stuff. And it would have been the perfect time for them to take a step back and be like, listen, guys, you know, we made some mistakes, we made some bad decisions with the pricing here, and then we put the pre-orders on hold, but now that we're putting the pre-orders back up, it's a perfect opportunity for us to drop the price a little bit, meet consumers halfway. But no, they announced that everything's the same. What was it, $95 for a Joy-Con, by the way? Yeah, that's great stuff. Amazing stuff going on. Nintendo's in such a good position, guys. Oh my god. People just love them.
Like, you keep seeing people, like, say things like, Nintendo's due for, like, one of their bad-selling consoles, or, like...
I mean, the foundation is kind of there. It's not that the Switch 2 is going to be a financial disappointment, or... Well, maybe a financial disappointment, but not a failure. Absolutely not a failure. The Switch 2 is going to be successful. That's part of why this is so annoying. It's absolutely going to be a successful system. But that being said, is it going to be as successful as the Switch 1? Probably not. I think we really are in a Wii U or a 3DS situation, where the follow-up to an extremely successful console gets a little too complacent, gets a little too over the top, a little too overzealous with things, and it's not going to do as well as its predecessor. At least not out of the gate with this price point. I don't know how that's not going to be the case. $450 for the base model, $500 if you want the Mario Kart version. Games are going to be expensive as shit. Because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of the criticisms people are making of the Switch 2 are things that the normies are not going to care about. The normies are not going to care about the fact that their game isn't actually on the cartridge. You know what I mean? The normies aren't going to care that they have to pay extra to play the games online. The normies aren't going to care about that stuff. The hardcore audience will, and Nintendo's really starting to lose the hardcore audience, but the normies just care about the fact that it is a Switch and it plays the Nintendo games. But the way they're going to start losing the normies is by pricing them out of the market, which is absolutely going to happen. If you are a normie consumer of Nintendo products, why would you drop $500 on a Switch if you already have one? If you are a normie Nintendo consumer, why would you drop $80, $90 on the new Mario Kart when you already have the existing Mario Kart? And you could say like, oh, well, it's worth that because of the tech. It's worth the money because of the tech, man. The normies aren't going to care. And that's the big conundrum that Nintendo's in right now. They're kind of pissing off the hardcore audience, and they're on their way to losing the normie audience. The Switch 2 will absolutely be a successful system. That's undeniable. It will be a successful system. But will it be as successful as the Switch 1? Will it meet all of Nintendo's lofty expectations? I really don't think so. So is Nintendo in for one of their bad generations? I mean, it kind of looks like it. Bad is relative. The word bad is relative, obviously. But something's going to happen here. And it's not going to be what Nintendo wants. I think the writing's on the wall for that.
You know, they think PlayStation or Xbox are going to make some glorious comeback. You know, there's rumors that the Xbox handheld is going to be a thing and that, like, the Steam Deck exists.
Did you say there's rumors that the Steam Deck exists? Like, I know that's not what you meant, but it's the words you said, and it's funny. Yeah, no, the Xbox handheld is not going to be a direct Switch competitor. That's dumb. Nintendo's kind of gotten a lot of mileage out of the fact that they've really removed themselves from the console market. Like, they're still a console, but they're not direct competitors with the PlayStation and the Xbox. They've consciously made that decision not to be, and it's done great things for them. It's kind of the same way that the PC is not a direct competitor to the Xbox and PlayStation. It is a gaming machine, but it's appealing to a different kind of player. And that's a little bit of a different situation because the PC is now starting to swoop in on the PlayStation and Xbox's appeal, because the Xbox and the PlayStation are starting to lose their appeal to the PC. But I feel like you guys know what I'm trying to say here. The Switch is not a direct competitor to the PlayStation and Xbox. The Switch 2 will be more of a direct competitor because it will be more technically capable. But you don't buy a Switch for the same reasons you buy a PlayStation or an Xbox or a PC. You don't buy all these systems for the exact same reasons. Whether or not that comes back to bite Nintendo is a different question. But, all that to say, the Xbox handheld is not going to be a Switch competitor. I don't really see anyone making that argument. Also, it's a rumor the Steam Deck exists. You might have made it up.
There's all this talk, and, I'm sitting here going, none of that matters. Xbox and PlayStation are not competitive with Nintendo,
Exactly. And because Nintendo chose not to be. That's not a problem. It's just the way it is.
Steam Deck was not competitive with Nintendo.
Again, yes, by design. The Steam Deck was not a Nintendo Switch competitor by design. It was never supposed to be a competitor, which is a little weird for you to say now, because you've said many times that the Steam Deck is a failure because it didn't stand up to the numbers that the Switch was putting up, but now here you are being like, oh, the Switch and the Steam Deck weren't competitors. It's like, oh, great, you finally came around to that. Although I'm probably giving you a little too much leeway here, because I think what you're going to say, or what you're thinking in your brain, is that they're not competitors because the Nintendo was just so strong it stepped on them and made them flat like a piece of paper.
Nobody can do what Nintendo does.
I mean, I can do what Nintendo does in terms of running their games on my PC. Lol.
Right, it's just not possible. When Sega said that Genesis does what Nintendo don't, what they really meant was go out of business, because
Sega did not go out of business. Also, the Genesis was a pretty successful console. We can argue back and forth all we want about with how Sega went in the console business, but it's weird for you to bring this up now. I just always think it's funny when people are like, man, I'm making a great argument for the current state of affairs, and as my evidence for the current state of affairs, here's this thing that happened 30 years ago.
Nintendo just rakes in money all the time on older hardware, through movies, through parks, through merchandising. They are absolutely killing it.
Yeah, man, they make a lot of money off of older hardware. Wii U, what's that? We don't talk about that. That didn't happen. It's not real. You made it up. Nintendo's been extremely successful and super dominant for all time ever since the Sega Genesis. GameCube, what's that? Never heard of it.
And right now, the Pretendos are running scared. They're trying to meme something like
Hey, remember? I just remembered something else that Nintendo didn't make money off of. Remember the Labo, that cardboard box VR type thing? The Nintendo Labo. Oh man, Nintendo kills it all the time. They just rake in all the money. They don't make mistakes. They're invincible.
Things into reality, like complaining about games never going on sale. They do.
Yeah, no, Nintendo games go on sale. They just don't drop in market price. That's the problem. Nintendo games do go on sale. It's just they don't drop in standard base price. So when they go on sale, the sale price is what the base price should have been 2 years ago. There's no reason that games that launched with the Switch 1 should still be full price. There's just no reason for that. So yes, flippin' Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and Smash Ultimate, yeah, those games go on sale sometimes, but when they go on sale, they're maybe the price that they should have been 3 years ago. That's the problem. No one's saying they never go on sale. They're saying that they should have dropped in base price.
Complaining about Nintendo's new leadership. Claiming that Furukawa and Kimishima are businessmen who don't respect the gamer. And
well, we used to have Reggie, so fucking downgrade city, methinks.
That simply isn't true at all, especially in Kimishima's case. But
I mean, are they gonna get up on stage and play Smash against Hungrybox? I kind of don't think so.
whose entire purpose, when he was CEO of Nintendo, was to like continue Iwata's plans for the company. Like again, like you just have all these people, coming out, just coping and seething about the inevitability of another Nintendo success story.
Are we coping, or are we just kind of sitting back and watching? Because I mean, like, we're not in the ecosystem, or at least most of us aren't, or a lot of us aren't. We're not going to buy the Switch 2. I'm not going to buy the Switch 2. I don't own a Switch 1. I'm completely isolated from Nintendo's ecosystem. How am I coping if this entire situation has nothing to do with me? I just find it entertaining. I'm going to sit back, I'm going to keep playing my own games on PC, and then eventually I'll be emulating your precious Switch 2 games on my PC, and I'm going to be I just don't care. It's just funny to me how eager you people are to defend the corporation that's blatantly taking advantage of you. That's why we're still watching.
Because they know that like once this console comes out and once it becomes successful, there will be no gaslighting people anymore.
Nah, I'll be able to gaslight people. I'll do it, trust me. Call me the Gaslight Anthem. I'll still do it.
For the past decade, we've already kind of seen like narratives against Nintendo kind of crumble to dust. Like the age-old claim that they censor games or that they.
I mean, they did.
Don't make games for adult gamers.
I mean, they don't. The last Nintendo-funded, like adult-oriented, not able to be enjoyed by adults, but like made for adults. The last Nintendo-funded made-for-adults game I can even think of was Bayo 3. And before that, it was Bayo 2. They could be doing more. It's not that they never do it, it's that they could be doing it more. Because when they do it, doo-doo, like a poopy, they're successful at it. So, like, why are you not doing more? And especially now with the Switch 2, it's like, how many M-rated games were in that Nintendo Direct? They were showing off so heavily. There's that new Bloodborne type thing. They were showing Cyberpunk off a whole bunch. It's like, you're fully capable of doing more of this. Why aren't you doing more of this? Again, it's not that they don't do it. It's that they don't do it as much as they probably should.
Like, none of that was ever true, but until, like, the past decade or so, back when they first announced Bayonetta 2, that was a narrative that was still like very, very deeply entrenched in the Western gaming sphere.
Well, the backlash to Bayo 2 was different. It's not that people were like, oh my goodness, Nintendo's now making the flippin' adult games. A lot of the discussion around Bayonetta 2 was the fact that it was flippin' Bayonetta. The first Bayonetta was multi-platform, and then Bayonetta 2 was going to be exclusive to a Nintendo console that nobody bought. So, good job trying to rewrite the narrative there. Weren't you just talking about how narratives get crumbled to dust, and now you're just glossing over what the actual narrative around Bayo 2 was? People don't give Nintendo a lot of credit for Bayo 2 because the way they handled Bayo 2 was really fucking lame. It has nothing to do with adult-oriented games.
And I would argue it still would be if Western third parties did not drop the ball so hard when it came to developing new games to keep people interested in like Xbox and PlayStation.
Bro, there's no way we're about to blame Western third party developers for the state of Nintendo's mature game audience. There's no way we're about to shift the blame here. The Switch was notoriously difficult to develop for. Nintendo chose to make it that way. Nintendo's attitude towards mature games is also much different from PlayStation and Xboxes. Like, there's no way we're about to shift the narrative here. There's no way you, a person who was just talking about narratives crumbling, there's no way you're now trying to shift the blame from Nintendo over to Western third-party developers when it comes to not making mature adult-oriented games for the. Oh my god. Just keep going. You got to bring this home. You got to bring this home soon. I got to be somewhere. I got to be somewhere soon. I'm 3 minutes into your video. I've been recording for 20. 3 minutes into your video. I've been recording for 20. You need to bring this home.
If third parties had been able to like continue off of that momentum with the PS360, like there might be a lot more like basis for these claims against Nintendo.
I genuinely don't know what you're trying to say now. continue the momentum off of the PS3 and 360 so there's more basis of the claims against Nintendo. Gee, I wonder what Nintendo was doing immediately after the PS3 and 360. Oh yeah, it's called the Wii U. Again, there's no way we're trying to shift blame right now with this. Nintendo makes mistakes. You're allowed to say that.
This idea that they aren't visually competitive.
Nintendo was not visually competitive after the PS3 and 360. They simply were not. They went to the Wii U, and then they went to the Switch. The Wii U was less powerful than the Xbox One and the PS4, but it was visually okay. And then they went to the Switch, which was visually dog shit. At least with tech. Art style is a different story. With technology, with how the system was outputting, the Switch was garbage by Nintendo's choice.
That their hardware is trash.
The hardware of the Switch was trash. Like, the hardware of the Switch was objectively trash. That doesn't mean the games were bad. That doesn't mean the system was unenjoyable. The hardware, for what they were charging and what else was on the market, the hardware was trash. Objectively.
That, they just remake the same thing over and over again.
I don't know how you even argue against that. With how much Nintendo re-releases games, I don't know how you argue against that.
A lot of this stuff might have a lot more momentum if they had any real competition, but they don't. 2024's Astrobot kind of demonstrates that pretty clearly.
Wait, but Astrobot was not meant to compete with fucking Nintendo. 3D platformers are allowed to exist outside of Nintendo. In fact, they should exist outside of Nintendo. I don't know why they fell off outside of Nintendo. I love 3D platformers. They're one of my favorite genres of game, and I wish there were more of them. It's just outside of Nintendo's ecosystem, people stopped making them for some reason. Like in the PS2 and 360 era, 3D platformers were all over the place, and then they just kind of disappeared in the last 10 years. I don't know why. But it's like I've said a million times, the Switch and the PlayStation are not direct competitors with one another. Astrobot was a PlayStation game. It's not a direct competitor with the Switch. Why do you care? Although, I do have to say, if Astrobot gets a Switch 2 port, the fucking buku bucks that Sony will make off of that.
Yeah, where the entire gaming industry formed this, Marvel Ultimate Alliance to try and, take down Nintendo's Infinity Gauntlet of platformers.
What? What?
And they just failed, They gave Astrobot a Game of the Year award, tried to call it, one of the best 3D platformers ever made, and it just fell flat on its face. It's going to be severely outperformed by Bonanza come July, and it's honestly not even going to be remembered.
So Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to erase Astrobot from history, from people's brains. All that fun you had with Astrobot, actually kill yourself, because Donkey Kong Bonanza Bash.
It's not remembered now. 2023 has Baldur's Gate 3,
Can you stop saying Baldo? Can you stop saying Baldur's Gate? It's driving me Donkey Kong Bonanza.
A game that people put up against The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate didn't get... Now I'm doing it. What the fuck? Tears of the Kingdom was Breath of the Wild with Gmod. Dislike, unsubscribe. That's what it was. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you can't enjoy it, but that is ultimately what it was. It was oh my god. It's Breath of the Wild with more stuff on it. Baldur's Gate. Oof. Baldur's Gate. This is I'm melting. I'm fucking melting. I'm melting right now. Baldur's Gate 3 was a brand new kind of experience. It was one of the deepest games, one of the most intricately designed games that we had ever seen. Tears of the Kingdom was the last Zelda with more stuff on it. It is not surprising that one of these was a big cultural phenomenon and the other one wasn't. It does not take away from Zelda being good or Zelda being enjoyable. It does take away from your ability to perceive reality.
And it's not as remarkable, it's not as interesting, it's not as relevant. Zelda's bigger than D&D ever was. Bigger than Lord of the Rings ever was.
Bro, what are we doing now? What are we doing? What are we doing right now?
So this idea that, that people had that, Baldur's Gate 3, it's so deep and complex, and you can have sex with so many different things. It's
I mean, it's deep and complex for other reasons, but you do you, I guess. I understand if that's the only thing you care about. That's the only thing you're thinking about. Way to give the game away there.
That doesn't make a better game,
Where did you get the cup of water from? You just randomly, appeared with a cup of water. I haven't seen you holding the cup of water the entire video, and then you just put your hand in frame and you have a cup of water. This whole time you've had a cup of water. Drink it. What are you doing? Why have you been holding it and not drinking it?
I've always said that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is the Twilight of video games. It's the same exact argument. Like, oh, I want to fuck the characters, so that makes it good.
Bro, how are we still on this? It's 2025. How are we still on Baldur's Gate?
No, that means it's porn. You degenerate.
Did you just say degeneral? I'm actually a decommander.
And now, like 2 years later, nobody remembers Baldur's Gate 3.
Hang on, I'm just gonna check the Steam charts here. Steam charts, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm just curious. It's Friday at 9:30 a.m. There's 122,000 people playing the game right now, and it's actually on an upward trend month to month. So, no, actually.
Nobody talks about it, and fans are making like a really bad name for themselves. I myself have been screamed at in public for not liking it.
I mean, if you've been screamed at in public, I find it hard to believe someone just walked up to you and screamed at you for not liking Baldur's Gate. I think if somebody had a public confrontation with you about Baldur's Gate specifically, I kind of just think you started it.
So it's one of those things
you don't want to wake up.
That, it's been getting this really negative reputation, exactly like Twilight did back in the day.
I haven't heard anyone say Baldur's Gate is starting to get a negative reputation. This just isn't happening. This just isn't happening.
It's amazing to see happen, but
are you ever going to get around to the title of the video about how Nintendo beat PC gaming? Because I've been recording for half an hour now. I need to go. I have to go somewhere. Wrap it up, please.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 could not compete with any of Nintendo's properties, let alone Zelda.
You said Baldur's Gate 3 again. I can't do this. I'm done. Toodles. Hi, hello. We're doing the thing where I'm out of town for a few days and won't be able to record a Doofus Club shout out until Wednesday of next week. What day is that? The 23rd, April 23rd is the next time I'll get to record one of these. So here's the Doofus Club shout outs that's going to run until April 23rd, and you guys have until April 23rd to make your names as stupid as humanly possible for the next read. Okay, your homework has been assigned. Let's go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Kyle Ward 789, Senso Nakage, and on voila. Hey, it's Maddie Master Killer Joe from Seattle. Has not so big P in the Return of the King, but he's upside down. Not Batman. That's suspicious. Partial Mean 8, Wild Gamer 3001, JG Dusty tickles my toes in the middle of the night. Mole Theme, Binary Deviant, Volksalto, Cloaked Onyx, and Omega, JG Dusty. Hail de Nuevo Pub, Cod Stop It, Codman 4372WX, The Gamer 127YT, Joe if you tried Crab Champions, Father Joe, when are you joining voice chat, Celarot, Gold Pyrex, Zombie Fan, Alderoth 01, Penguin Piss, Doug Nigsy, Blast 1314, Snake Eyes 327, Devastator 2000, Edge Knight 1789, Raptor 1, It's Gamer Word, Not Gamer World, Get It Right, Joey, Saudi Freighter, MK2396E, I'm still in the moat, Joe, help me, please. No, I won't, just swim, use the lessons, we paid for your lessons at the YMCA, swim out of the moat, Henthai, Ex Machina Gamma, Elite Wolf, Fire Hazard 105, Epion 504, Klepto Penguin, Banshee, GWXSS, Doom Kaiju, Rascal the Wolf, Evan Co, Okie Toodles, Tech Gaming, Jungle Zone, Slim Jim, Really Zero, Gaming with Dead People, Bender Fondue, All Games Video, Japanese Name I Can't Read, Max Killer V2 Gaming, Biscuit 1101, PS5 has Infinite Bacon, Horizon Forbidden West Remaster, Pope, Raphael the Rat King, Jessica Shepard, Ricky Spiral, Ricky Tika Tabby, Muskie, Wash Tingle for the first time since I was a kid, it's good, Crewman the Steel Angel, bought 10 subs, now I can't afford to switch to, Sergeant Jason Vaughn, Baron Vaughn, Vaderham, Cyrus, forgot to change my name, and now I can't afford to fix it, True Texican 940, Joe, improv this name, okay, use that creative brain, it's the best I got. Fuck yourself for telling me to improv. It's like a joke. You can be like, hey, you're a comedian. Tell a joke right now. And it's like, why did the chicken cross the road? Weed eater. That was a VeggieTales reference. Hinoka's #1 Saudi fan, Creed Warrior 23, Maxichev, Herman's Nintendo Defense Reaction Video Win Chap. Totally Insane Event out of Autry, Black Cobra, Night of Cypher, Reborn Me with the fan art, ML04. I own 6 copies of Click 2006 on Blu-ray. What the fan art Switch 2 is more of a scam than PS5 Pro. Wolf of Midnight, Stick Rider, Pig Venus, Kev Dog 1992, Steve Wynn Studios, Film Kraken, The Beastums, Own Gaming, Tariq Brown, Thomas Pocan, Hero Culture, Thornscade, Maganex, Severin Evans, Mr. Spotty 03, It's the Catalina freaking Y Mix, Pow Pow, Y Trouble, Donnie Weston, Nick Donegan, Gob Gobson, Rogue Winter 919, Bobby Hinner, Grimsy, Sengoku Rants, Hangman for Hire, Elden Lenovo, Frost Crystal, Jimmy Chops, The Biogenesis, Eden Action, Poppy Pinkus 97, Megan Key, Kush Good, The Scuffus Go, Ghost, remember to tell Nintendo, lower your prices, The JoJo 6, Fast Growth, Mtanga, Raptor, Tim, The Amazing Blight Man, Blue Hook, Willie, JJ, Schnorlaxon, Show Your Feet, Joe, Don't Be a Pussy, Jody Breeze, Smitty, Warger, Jaegerman, Jensen, Max Lero, Massimo, Mick Advertisement, Diego Garcia, Oblivion Remake is coming, Yahoo! JJ Disney, ate my Kibikins, I American 80, Rebel Blood 80, Antoine Horton, Oracle, I order pizza from Papa John's, I don't know it's Justin, Rand Roy, Toonie Wayne, Bloodline Extreme, The Wolf 7, Joey Scoops, my name is Mud, Joe Taku, Joe licked my feet, now he won't call me back, Ooh-hee, ooh-ha, Ting Ting, Walla Walla Bing Bang, Remastered, Wannabe, Hobo, Jidge, Westside Bill at 310 Char, Rob C, I Am Veg, The Groovy Banana, Curtin Allen Spack, The Scrum Master, World's Happiest Shark Hater. Ooh! Why are you hating on sharks? That's fucked up. Okay, toodles.